Yes, and we're back. Thank you for staying with us here on the station and You Look and Live. This is Testify every Thursday, and we're still with Solomon. You've downed on your throat 4 sachets of red cuts.
A red cut, yes.
Yes, and here you are. So what really happened?
Well, okay. See, there's what you perceive in your mind. You act like a movie. Yeah, you'll do this and this will happen. I expected to take that, collapse, die. Didn't work that way. My kid bro ran home. He came back with the cook and the watchman. He came back with milk. They tried to force me ngangana there. I didn't want to drink it and got fed up and I ran off from them. And I went up till Adams, the roundabout, and I collapsed there. Act out. Now, next day in the morning, I woke up. As I knew I was not dead, but I woke up in such excruciating pain on top of Adams Arcade roundabout. I had soiled myself, I had thrown up on myself. I was in excruciating pain.
You're still in the streets?
No, Adams Arcade. My dad's place is in Hurlingham, on George Padmore Road. So when after we parted with my bro, I walked up towards Adams. At Adams Arcade is where I collapsed on that roundabout. And I blacked out, because that's where I woke up the next day. And I was in excruciating pain. This must have been maybe 6 or 5:30 in the morning. I was in such pain. Maria, you tell me go commit suicide, enda peke yako. I would never attempt something like that again.
Yeah.
And I advise anybody thinking of suicide, think it through very hard, because if it bounces, it can be an excruciatingly painful experience.
Yeah.
In that state, Adams Arcade is here, just behind Winners Chapel, there's Woodley Estate. I knew a friend of mine that lived for donkey's years there. I decided that's where I'm going to go for help. So I got up, I half crawled, I half walked, but I got to Kina Joshua's place, called Joshua Odera. One time we were with him in high school. Watchman takes a look at me. It's still very early in the morning. Watchman takes a look at me and tells me, go. I tell him no. Just go in there, tell Joshua Solomon Kilanga is here. If he doesn't recognize the name, you can chase me away. But luckily he goes in, he tells Joshua. Joshua responds. We're good friends in school. He responds, he comes, and I quickly explain my story and he takes me in. I was helped in Joshua's servants' quarters for almost 3 weeks. I was not taken to a hospital. He called another friend who was a doctor. And those 2 guys are the ones who helped me. Because I also didn't want to go to hospital, then my police case and etc. But after about 3 weeks, sometimes I will just black out and you get up, a day has elapsed. But those guys helped me through. 3 weeks down the road, I was feeling a bit better. So of course guys start asking you, now what do you want to do with your life? Now here is a problem. These are the guys I was in high school with. One is a lawyer, one is a doctor. My kid brother is going to do his commercial pilot's lesson. My kid sister has already done a degree and gone out there. And how are you going to fit back into this society? So I asked them for some cash, gave about 1,000 shillings. 3 weeks later, after I felt healed kiasi, and I came back to Isili. Now to think, before going back to them with a proposal on what could we do. But you're coming back very defeated. 1,000 bob isn't much. I went into these lodgings of 30 bob for a short while. But by December of that year, I was back in the street. And now you go back to the street, you're completely now at your wit's end. You have failed completely. You are the worst. You are the epitome of failure, beyond even the epitome of failure, because, you know, everybody knows, at least guys who are not in Christ and guys who are out there, they know you have a final choice. If things get too rough, you could take your life. But here, I've even failed to commit suicide. What kind of a failure is this? You have failed in everything. You live in the streets. You have nothing. You are approaching 34 years now, and you can't even kill yourself. Yeah. So basically, when I went back to the street, I was at the end of my tether, and a short while later, I even decided I am not going to continue to collect rubbish. I decided I would now just wait for death to come. I stopped getting actively involved in collecting rubbish. I started I would go to the veranda to sleep at 11 at night when the Karobo place closes. In the morning at 5:30 when we are kicked off the veranda, I will go to the Karobo place. If I find somebody who will buy me a drink, I'll drink. If I find somebody to buy me something to eat, I'll eat. But I will make no active effort to actually after for myself. I had given up. I just, if I die, I die. I won't attempt to kill myself, but let death just come. Sometimes I really think God was waiting for me to get to that point. Yeah. Because at that point, shortly after, a guy called Kamau, who was living in the streets, came to me and told me he has gotten saved. And I looked at Kamau and wondered, what nonsense is this guy is telling me? When he's gone crazy. At that time, I wouldn't even have believed in God. What God could allow such an unjust world where people live a degrading life like this, and there's this caring and loving God? I didn't want to hear this nonsense from Kamau. But Kamau kept on being persistent. He would come and he would tell me he's saved, Bana. There is God. God has good plans for you. And I asked Kamau, who's giving you this nonsense? And he told me, I've met a pastor. And I want you to meet this pastor. I kept on avoiding that story, but then I noticed something in Kamau. Kamau changed. Kamau, by the way, was living on the same street with me. Kamau was a married guy. In the street, there's just a community like this normal community. If you marry, you extend your sack. Get a bigger sack. If you get a baby, you get an even bigger sack. Wow. Na mnaendelea na maisha. Kamau was a married guy. Kidogo he moved from the veranda we were staying on, he moved to another kachechoro there. They got some mabatis, they set up some kind of house. But Kamau became clean. Kamau stopped drinking. Kamau stopped most of the two habits he had. He would come to the bar, to the Karobo bar, to sit with us and tell us about Jesus. I started getting curious about what Kamau has found, because he also started to see him, he's at peace. And I wanted to know, what has this guy found? So I was curious. And I'll say this as a word of advice to Christians. Leave this parapara mingi about your savedness, how saved you are, etc. Let your actions show people that indeed you are a changed person. Let your actions be the ones that will want people to change and follow this Christ you are following and become like you. So one day, Kamau, it was 26th March, the year 2000, Kamau came to me. It was a Sunday, the night before. Remember I told you at that time I had stopped even looking for money. But the night before, fortunately somebody had left me 20 bob. So when we were woken up, I went to the Karobo place with 20 bob. You've got 2 mkebes. You're ready by 7 o'clock. You're already feeling you're sawa. Then Kamau walks in and tells me, let's go and meet this pastor. I said, okay. I think I'm just going to go meet this pastor of his. put him in his place so that uache kunisumbua.
Yeah.
And my mkebe there nikapeana hapo kwa bar. I told them, hold this for me. I'm just going to put this pastor in his place and come back. And that was the day that I walked through this gate. That gate of GLC, that was the day I walked through it. I came here and met Bishop Absalom Dungo. That's the first day that I saw this greater life concern. At that time it was just this one house here. And I came here with a lot of bitterness. I came here with a lot of opposition to these issues of God. And in fact, one of the first things I asked the bishop was, what is this you're calling Kamau? But this was a guy who was patient. He had the heart to listen. He was patient. He listened to me. He invited me inside here and told me, let's sit down and talk. And no matter how rude I tried to be to him, he answered me very humbly and tried to explain God's plan upon my life. So eventually it started getting, I was drunk, but I started getting to me that this guy, there's something he's saying that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I asked him, this God of yours, I've drunk for 13 years. That year, that January, I'm one of those guys born very early in the year, 8th January. I'd already turned 34. I remember, by the way, people don't just go to the streets at when they're in their teens and what. I went into the streets at the age of 31. When I came here, I was 34 years old. A total failure. From a very good background, having slid down that path. Yeah. And now I'm here, a total failure kabisa. But what he has spoken to me just started to make sense, and I asked him, can this God of yours, if you count from the age of 13 to the age of 34, I'd been drinking for over 20 years, 20 plus years. I asked him, can this God of yours, his, not mine, at that time, his God, and this God of yours make me leave alcohol? And he says, yes. I asked him, what do we do?
Was that you coming? Was that something you were thinking about at some point? Like, I really would want to live?
You see, throughout my drinking life, I'd always wanted to leave alcohol. There is no drunk who doesn't want to leave. But somehow they don't find the way to do it. And sometimes even when they say they want to try to leave, to small obstacles always tokea. They never find that support structure which would help them to enable them to live. But in the back of your mind, you know very well this thing is messing you. It's not that you are blind to all the things that it has done to you. I wasn't blind to the fact that, I'm a privileged kid from a privileged family to come down to living in the streets, eating other people's rubbish and literally going to carry other people's garbage for them. Yeah. I am a guy who has climbed on top of a rubbish hill. These same takataka heaps where guys throw in it. I'm broke, I have climbed up a rubbish hill. I was hungry. You look for ugali that is thrown there. It has grown this fungus covering, it's looking greenish, bluish. You take a mkebe from the same place, you slice off that and you eat. And because you are thirsty and it's been raining, there's a mkebe there, it's got some water, it's some rainwater. You drink that and you walk off. And you don't die. You have sunk to such a life. So you know exactly what alcohol has done to you, but you have been unable to leave it. Yeah. So I asked him whether his God could make me leave it. He told me he can. I asked him, what do I need to do? He told me, kneel down, we pray. It sounded simple enough. So I knelt. And I prayed. And I laid hands. And I prayed. My knees started paining from kneeling down. Yeah. When I got up, I felt zilch. Nothing at all. The way I'd come in here, I'd come in my rags. I was dirty. I had a shoe which was more or less, unajua rubber shoes umeshikanisha with wire, you're not sure how much is wire, how much is a shoe. And I wanted to leave. But these guys, God guides people how to keep you a bit longer. Yeah. One of the guys who was here told me, we have boiled some water for you, will you take a bath? And of course I'm going to say yes. How many years had I stayed without touching hot water? So I said, yes. Yeah. So I was okay. Oh, bring these clothes. They took those clothes, they went to burn them. And I took a hot bath. I came out, I was given a grey trouser, green pair of slippers, a white shirt. I will forever thank God for the person who donated this. And at this time, I would like to ask anybody, you don't have to, if you want to help us, even just bring those old clothes of yours. Because they are gold. To you, it's a irritating thing you have thrown at the bottom of your wardrobe there. Not you, it's just the time you, of course, had to go throw it out. But giving it to a place like this, it's gold to somebody else. I still remember the first clothes that I wore, new, without lace, without dirt. I came out and the pastor asked me, would you like us to go to church? And I thought, why not?
Why not?
At that time, I didn't know he was the bishop. I just knew he's a pastor. So why not? Because somebody had told me he has a church somewhere in Kayole. I said, fine, we can go.
And that has been the life of Solomon. Now he is entered into a life of church. Does he really sustain that? But yes, he does. Because for 7 years, he managed to stay clean of alcohol. But you need to catch up with us because he entered a relapse again. And you need to know what exactly happened. And did he come out? What happened to his family? Did he begin a family? Did he build a family? Just stay with us next time. Catch us on Thursday. Testify with me, Maria Macau.